Coming up, we're going back to Hell's Kitchen. Join us as we dissect the first episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Stay tuned.
We can distract him until...
Say no more. Daredevil's the name. Distraction's my game. And if I don't make it, it's been a real slice of heaven, gang. Hang loose, heroes.
Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. And we are your hosts, Arturo Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. Before we get started, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, that bell, and that thumbs up. That way you know when all these videos are dropping. Tex, how you doing today, dude? What's up?
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So we're kind of like in a much different situation this time around with this batch of episodes compared to Season 1, because Season 1, just like a quick little rundown of what happened there, it was an entirely different kind of production that was kind of just its own thing. Like, it was going to be like a full reboot of the series. You know, you had characters from the Netflix Daredevil show coming back as like, or you have the actors coming back as their characters, but from all reports about that first version, it was just going to be like its own kind of own thing within the MCU. It was just going to be fully rebooted. But in the midst of making that version of the show, some kind of stuff went on behind the scenes where they were kind of displeased with that. And so tweaks were made. And eventually we got the version of Season 1 that we got, where it's like kind of half connected, but also still kind of trying to be its own thing. And so while it was good, it just kind of had its like, it had issues. And it was very noticeable with the episodes, right? Where it's like you had some standouts, but then you had some episodes that were like kind of wonky. But with Season 2, it's immediately apparent that from the ground up, like they're cooking on all levels of like they're fully invested in not only in, yes, the Netflix stuff did happen, like straight up, like, no, like this is within canon of like all those other shows, whether you saw them or not, like they happen because you have direct callbacks to that. But then at the same time, it's like also not tossing out the story it already set up, right? Like, this is a straight up continuation of everything that happened. Matt Murdock, once again, is basically like a one-man army, like with him. It's him and Karen Page, and literally against all of New York City. Like, you have Kingpin, now full-on mayor of New York, but like full-on extreme mayor of New York, of like, you know, he's enacted martial law with his group of, let's just law enforcement, I guess you would say,
or the AVTF, the Anti-Vigilante Task Force.
Yeah, that looks a little too close to home, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little too real.
Yeah, and thankfully, those behind production and some of the stars, either like Matthew Lillard, has outright said, hey, like, it's good that it's in there, you know, like it's in there for a reason. And like, this is what art is supposed to do. It's supposed to mirror the real world.
To imitate life, right? Art imitates life. And that's what we have here in this very first episode of Season 2. Before we get into the bulk of Season 2, into the first episode, I should say, Season 1, as Tex was saying, they had ordered like an 18 to 19 episode run of the show, and it was gonna be this all together story, jumping off what we saw after She-Hulk and all that stuff like that. And what we got, as Tex mentioned, in the first season of Born Again was a little bit of a muddled kind of, let's see what we can do here. It didn't really hit its stride until the very last couple episodes, where the drama and the conflict really started amping up with Fisk and with Muse and with Matt Murdock's love interest, who went through tons of trauma. And we see that now here in episode 1. And they definitely did a good job of continuing that very tight writing they did at the end of Season 1. And as Tex was saying, this first episode shows exactly where they're going and how they're structuring things. So they're able to grab a lot of stuff from the real life world that's going on here, politics, the American government, and all that nonsense, and they put it into the show, and it just works very well. Because ever since the dawn of comic books, man, if you go back to the early inception of X-Men, like, this is what it's been all about, the outcasts of society always trying to, survive and just live their lives while the power are trying to oppress. So that's exactly what's going on here, where Wilson Fisk is completely just not terrorizing, but in a way, formally terrorizing the city in a way where he's just getting his stuff done in the background. His business dealings are still going on. He is pretty much paying off everybody. There's an awesome scene where the attorney general bursts into the office with somebody else, with a deputy governor or whatever. And they're like, whatever you're doing here has to stop, and there's going to be oversight. And then they get one phone call, and that conversation quickly changes.
Yeah.
Shows you the power of Wilson Fisk.
Yeah, like it's funny too, because at the same time, it kind of like it also reveals how much of a small fish he is in a much bigger pond. It is funny, right? Because it's like we've seen Kingpin, we've seen like through all these seasons. If you even go back to like the Netflix show, right? You've seen Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin like kind of like rise through the ranks and take over the city in crime, right? And then his next big thing was like, I'm going to be the mayor, so I can even have more control over the city. But then now he has control over the city. There are people like, well, it stops at the state, right? And then the state's like, well, now you're with the big dogs, right? Of like the United States government. And that's, you have characters like Charles, Matthew Lillard, who's like automatically like, they kind of like, Kingpin points this out. He's like, yo, you're grandstanding in my office. I don't really appreciate that. But at the same time, Matthew Lillard is like, he's one of those characters who clearly he's kind of like got so much power because of who he works for, of like, like to get things done. And you can see that, right? Like, in that scene you mentioned, they call out Miss Fontaine from the Thunderbolts, mind you, which was already like, like Valerie Dufontaine, and that whole kind of thing of kind of punking Kingpin, because when they have their sit down, and it's such a fun scene too, because like you see the look on on Kingpin's face of like, oh, I really am out of my depth here. I can't threaten this guy in the same way I threatened everybody else, right? Because Lillard seems like the kind of character he's in that position of like he's going to be untouchable. But then, he's also that kind of character where it's like when you're in that kind of role in the shadow government, it's like, you can also disappear at the drop of a hat too. And then like, that'll be it. Right. And so it's cool to see that dynamic play out. At the same time, you've got the rest of the developing stories, right? You've got Matt and Karen who are back together again.
Karen stayed after season 1, right? Because we didn't know she was going to stay for the long run there. And I'm very happy that she did, because that brings about other things that you can do in the show between them, because Matt Murdock has been such this solo kind of dude for so long that now that he has an accomplice in Karen, it enables him to do other things and have different kinds of situations pop up, which I think we'll see probably in this season. And I really like her character. She's definitely being, she's also being hunted like Matt Murdock is by this anti-vigilante task force. And she has to dress up in wigs and all this stuff in order to get like information and documents from all these different sources. So she's also going through it. And they live behind this bar, the Josie's bar that we see in season 1. And they live like behind the wall or something. It's a very kind of decrepit kind of life they're living because they're just staying off the grid. And I really like that she's back in the fold. And as you mentioned, we get the other characters back, right? We get the other lawyer, McDuffie. She's back in the fold as well, along with Cherry, who we see in this first episode, who like at the end of this first episode, Cherry's going through it. Big time. The AVTF it definitely is aware of his relationship with Daredevil and or Matt Murdock, and they are on his ass 100%. And there's an awesome fight scene in that apartment. Again, Daredevil, man, the fight scenes in Daredevil, awesome. I was worried because last season we had some really funky CGI when he was jumping across the buildings. I'm glad we haven't gotten any of that yet. It's been straight up street level hand-to-hand combat stuff, and it looks awesome. The choreography again is on point, and it's only episode 1, So I am very curious as to what is going to continue to go down. I know we are bringing back Jessica Jones in this season as well, so I'm excited about that. They're bringing back Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, and she was a great character. I really enjoyed her show. But again, Matt Murdock, just like Mark from Invincible, goes through it, dude. Like this guy, Daredevil, Invincible, Spider-Man, these three characters get their asses kicked on the regular.
Can't catch a break. You know what I mean? Like, it is funny. Like, you bring up Spider-Man too, because like in the trailer in Spider-Man Brand New Day, when he's getting the key to the city, he's not, it's not Kingpin. It's not Fisk giving him the key. So it's like, okay, is that because Fisk is not the mayor? Is it because he just wasn't there that day? Or how, and you've got Punisher in that, which is also a very interesting thing too, because apparently Punisher is not in Born Again season 2, which is interesting because of how like heavily involved John Bernthal is with season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But Arturo, that's because Disney Plus also announced that we're getting the Punisher One Last Kill special presentation the week after Daredevil ends, basically like the season finale. I think like the week later we're getting the Punisher special, and I'm excited to see what that even is. Like, is that explaining why he's not in season 2? Is that explaining how he ends up in Brand New Day? I'm so curious. And that's just all MCU stuff, right? Like, but
yeah, dude. And I'm glad you brought up Kingpin not being in Brand New Day, because of what we saw in the trailer there. It also brings up questions if this is the same universe. Like, is this the same New York, right? Because like Kingpin has this anti-vigilante stuff, and we know Spider-Man hangs out in New York. So is it the same place? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered in the next coming months. Because if Punisher is in Spider-Man, are we dealing with the same Punisher that Daredevil's dealing with? You know what I mean? Like, it's a little like, it brings up a lot of questions,
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? It's not like everything needs to connect exactly, right? Because you have that with comics all the time, right?
Yes.
It's like, comics always like, this is Marvel Comics, right? It's like you pick up a Spider-Man book and Punisher's in it, and the Hulk's in it, right? You pick up a Daredevil book, and you're like, well, there's Jessica Jones, right? But there's, is it the same character from another arc? Maybe not,
you see,
right?
You see though, Tex, like, I see what you're saying, because that works just fine.
Yes.
In the eyes of a comic reader, just one-off adventures and everything. But we've been dealing with this cinematic universe now, right? And we relate actors to characters. So we see John Bernthal in Spider-Man Brand New Day. We're like, I saw you in Daredevil Born Again season 1. And I saw you in your own Netflix show, and you've dealt with these people and that people. So are we dealing with the same connections here? So like, it brings up a lot of questions that I definitely want answers to, damn it. But I am excited to see what else this season of Born Again will bring to us, man. The trailer showed us just a bunch of action stuff, but it still didn't really show us where this season is going to go.
Yeah, what even the plan is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with Fisk now. Right off the bat, we see Fisk in quite the pickle, because one of these boats that was like carrying about, what was it, like 10 tons of like a military grade weapons, got sieged by Daredevil, and they try to sink it, and they couldn't sink this boat. So you have this boat with a bunch of freaking illegal weapons. It's sticking its ass half up the water, and in New York City in the river. And Kingpin is like, all right, what are we gonna do here? And like, it's so obvious, as Tex mentioned, that he is a little bit out of his league here, because he's still trying to do his underground gangster shit, right? In this very open political world of New York City. And some things aren't working and some things are. So he definitely has to pick and choose who he's handling different tasks to. As we see here, he trusts this Buck guy quite a bit. And he actually has a really cool scene that looked pretty awesome, where they have this one gentleman who's taken hostage because he was one of the captains of the ship who went down, and they legit just torture this guy and end up shooting him in the head. And like, this version of Daredevil is not for children.
Yeah, there's ton of like
there's a ton
actual
of death.
violence in this.
There's a ton of F-bombs being dropped as well. The
Oh
violence
yeah.
is great. But this one scene in particular, the camera does not pan away from this guy getting shot right in the head. And it's a really cool shot of Buck just behind the guy's head and just shooting him right there. Then you see the bullet go right through his head, right into the camera. And I thought that was really awesome.
Cool bit of characterization from that actor too, because you see him sigh a little bit. And like he's like, oh, it was kind of, he hated that he had to do that kind of moment. And and he even says it in Greek of like, this is your fault. Like he's like, you kind of get the sense that like, oh, yes, he is like, he'll kill, but it's like it's
just but he has standards because even like this the task force, these agents, these low lives POSs, like he even looks down upon them. It's like Buck is above them and he's Kingpin's right-hand man.
Yeah,
and we've seen him do all kinds of stuff for Kingpin, especially his dirty work. So
like on that same level, we have like Gandolfini, who is also kind of like he's a deputy mayor now, and he's like, yes, he's doing whatever Fisk asks, but it's clear that he's basically going to be set up as the patsy. Like it's kind of outlined in the dialogue from BB Urick's character of like, when this all goes down, who do you think is going to take? Like, it's kind of like, like he's. So I'm curious to see how that develops. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. It feels very tight compared to season 1, which is like, it's very impressive with this first episode already.
Yeah, agreed.
Because like you look at the cliffhanger too of like him getting saved by Bullseye. And notably, this is after his identity is revealed. So like it's basically telling us like, hey, like he's on that edge of like, like something's gonna break. Either he's gonna get found out or like something's gonna happen. But like he barely got saved, and Cherry like was having a heart attack, and like it was also messing with like him because he's like, oh, he remembered Foggy in that moment, and he
had a moment of PTSD there and completely got distracted, and then got whacked in the back of his head, and
he got rocked, dude. And they got him.
He got his ass beat. And again, like you said, if Bullseye was not there to save the day, who knows what would have happened, because his mask was already off and they were about to shoot him in the head.
And then that's the thing too, like what's going on with Bullseye? Why didn't he save him? Like is he?
I cannot wait, because honestly, Tex, Bullseye is one of my favorite villains in the rogue gallery of Daredevil. He's his Joker. Like, you can say the Kingpin and all this other stuff, but if you're reading the comic books, Bullseye is his arch nemesis. So the fact that we get him here, finally wearing his suit according to the trailer, right? The trailer shows him with the suit on. You see the little Bullseye on the ski mask or whatever he's wearing. So I'm glad that we have him here in this storyline, because he's a crucial part of Daredevil lore,
dude.
And first time we saw him, yes, it was fun, but it wasn't done full justice. And I think now we're going to get the full, party time Bullseye, and I can't wait.
Dude, if it keeps going down this path where like he'll only kill for good, like, I mean, we got the Thunderbolts, dude. I mean, they dropped Fontaine's name for a reason, right? So it's like, I mean, we have a team of former villains who also kill people for good, where it's like, like, so I mean, hey man, anything's possible. We'll always need a Thunderbolts 2, you know what I mean? Like a new Avengers 2, right? Like, we'll.
But that's what we thought that we were getting, right? When we were, if you guys go back to our archives, we've been talking about Daredevil joining the fray for a long time now, ever since the Netflix show. And now I'm curious to see how far we go here, right?
I mean,
because now that they did mention Fontaine, right? We're back to that same question that I had before. Are we playing in the same sandbox, right?
Like, is this, like, seriously, are we gonna get, like, we've already got Matt Murdock and Spider-Man on film together, right? Of like, Peter Parker and Matt Murdock have shared a scene, but we haven't gotten the full Spider-Man and Daredevil team up yet, right? And we've gotten in the animated show. So like, hey man, like if all the pieces keep lining up, you got Jessica Jones, you've got all the other heroes that they did too, like Luke Cage on the table. You've got, like, I guess if they want to do Iron Fist, they could do Iron Fist, but like, hey, they got me, dude. I can't lie. Like this was a solid premiere. They got
this
me.
First episode, I told you off air, Tex, it was way better than I expected it to be. Because based off the last season, I didn't really know where this thing was going, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of didn't really know we were getting another Born Again like season last year when we did get it. You know, it was a surprise that they would bring them back. So, as Tex mentioned, you know, we get to see Matt Murdock in No Way Home interacting with Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and we get to see now Punisher and Joe Bernthal interact with Spider-Man in Brand New Day. So do these gentlemen meet up at some point in this same universe with Spider-Man to fight a bigger evil? Who knows? Stay tuned for that, folks at home. And thank you so much for listening. This has been The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. We are your hosts, Arturo Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to you guys out there for listening and for watching. We have all these episodes on our YouTube archive and anywhere you get your podcast streams. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell. That way you know when all these videos are dropping. And also a big shout out goes to Del Virus for all the artwork you've seen in front of you throughout the years. And last but not least, buddies, always remember it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.